what I'm saying. Are you afraid of doing something? Are you afraid of trying something new? Are you afraid of doing something outside your comfort zone, right? Or do you really have a phobia? Does your body have a physical reaction beyond your control when you're doing that particular thing you believe you have a phobia for? Or are you just too nervous to try? Because there's some things you think, oh, I'm afraid of, maybe heights. And then you go to the top of that mountain and you feel so liberated. It feels so refreshing. And you tell yourself, oh my gosh, why didn't I do this sooner? Look who tuned in. Hello, gorgeous. Welcome and welcome back to another episode of Soft Start. I'm Lateefah and I'm your host. Hello, gorgeous. Settle in. Welcome to the very first episode of Soft Start. I'm very excited. I'm actually feeling very anxious, but then I'm telling myself it's excitement because I read somewhere that anxiety and excitement, they send similar waves to your nervous system. So if you're feeling anxious, you can just lie to your brain by saying out loud that, oh, this is excitement. And it actually works because, I think this is excitement. I feel giddy. I feel good. Okay, I'm happy to be doing this. And as I was starting this episode, based on how I'm feeling, I just randomly started thinking about phobias and people that say they have phobias. Personally, I don't think I have any phobias. Obviously, there are things that I'm afraid of doing. I hate cockroaches. I think I actually need to go and get the diagnosis. What is the phobia for cockroach? I have it because I actually hate cockroaches, but I'm able to still, despite I won't say I'm afraid of, I'm afraid of cockroaches, I can't lie, especially the ones that fly. Very valid, very valid. Oh, okay, fine. I give everyone who hates things a pass because I was just thinking about the fact that people say, oh, I have arachnophobia. Do you have arachnophobia or do you just really hate spiders? Like, do they creep you out? Is that why you say you have arachnophobia? Do you hate cats or do you have a phobia for cats? Do cats creep you out, especially if you're African? With all the stories we hear about, I used to not like cats until we got 3 cats. My parents were like, well, I don't care what you hate or what you like. We're going to have 3 cats because we need them. And there we go. We have 3 cats. So I used to be scared of dogs. Gosh, I used to be really scared of dogs. Now we have a Rottweiler, the loveliest being in my life. I kid you not. So yes, I know sometimes we're just afraid, like people who have a fear of public speaking. I genuinely feel it's something that can be worked on. Obviously, I know not all phobias are the same. That's what I'm saying. Are you afraid of doing something? Are you afraid of trying something new? Are you afraid of doing something outside your comfort zone? Right? Or do you really have a phobia? Like, does your body have a physical reaction beyond your control when you're doing that particular thing you believe you have a phobia for? Or are you just too nervous to try? Because there's some things you think, oh, I'm afraid of, maybe heights. And then you go to the top of that mountain and you feel so liberated. It feels so refreshing. And you tell yourself, oh my gosh, why didn't I do this sooner? Why didn't I push myself to do this, before now? So yes, I remember when I was younger, so weird because I still tell myself when I grew up, but yeah, I remember when I was younger, like 10 years ago now. Oh my God, it's so crazy to think. But like 10 years ago now, I was in front of a class of over 100 students. It was a new school and I had to give a presentation. And I did not practice. I did my research and that was why I knew exactly what I was going to say. I did my research, but I did not practice actually presenting, what I had researched. So I get there and it was a total flop. Oof, God. It felt as if my body was cold. I froze. I was just not sure how to go about it. Like, who do I look like? Who do I look at? Do I pace the classroom? Oh, gosh. somebody had to come and take over for me. They were like, it's okay, girl. It's okay. Just like, I can do this for you. Step aside. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry. I don't know what, yeah, but I'm sure, people around the job like, oh, she probably has stage fright. Girl, I don't have stage fright. I just did not prepare. And I knew deep down in my heart that was the cause. I knew if I had prepared better, that would not have happened. So my next presentation, I practiced like my life depended on it. And it wasn't great, but it was way better. And I was like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. You practice and you get better. And I went back, even after that presentation, I took notes. Yes, I analyzed my performance, should I say. And then I went back. I'm like, okay, I could do this better. These were some mistakes I made. When I was at this point, I was stuttering. Why was I stuttering? I knew what to say. Then you learn, you get better. What filler words can I use? Do I need icebreakers when it feels like the class is not participating? It's one thing to present, it's another thing for people to follow you when you're speaking. So I keep practicing and I honestly keep putting myself out there. I remember when I did my NYC program, I joined the debate team and I actually, I debated. I was scared, but I was like, what is the only thing that is stopping me from doing this? If it's anxiety or fear, yeah, that's not good enough reason for me. So I'm going to do it. So I did it because I'm not going to let the fear of putting myself out there, of doing something uncomfortable, doing something out of my comfort zone. I'm not going to let the fear of that stop me from doing it. That's just not a good enough reason for me. So yes, that's that. So yeah, those were just my thoughts before I started recording this episode. And I thought it'd be good to share. Practice till it becomes automatic. Those are the mental notes that I took, practice until it becomes natural. Some people see me now and they're like, of course, like, duh, you're not shy. I'm like, okay, let's just run with that narrative because I'm not going to start narrating the story of how I flopped not once, but 1.5 times because the second one wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either. But yeah, I'm not going to tell my flop story just to make you feel better. I mean, I do sometimes, but yeah, let's just run with the narrative that I'm not shy, but I will definitely tell them that practice definitely would make you better than you are now. So yes. Okay, back to soft starts. What does it mean to start soft? I'm going to start by saying plan. Plan. It's never too much to take a book, write out your ultimate goal. So you could write out 5 to 10 points that these steps would take me 1 step or 2 steps closer towards achieving this goal of mine, right? So you write out your goal, you write out 5 to 10 steps that if you take them, it would take you a step closer towards achieving your goal. So many surveys, so many research out there have proven that a lot of the people who succeed, they have a plan for their life. Not just mental plan, not just mental notes. They actually wrote these plans down. So it is very key for you to know what you want, what is your goal, and then you write it out. So it sounds so easy, but it actually works. It sounds so easy, but it actually really works just by writing. And I think that's a very soft way towards launching yourself towards the path you see yourself on in life, right? Especially in this world where everything is moving so fast. Gosh, it's easy to be consumed by everything that's going on in the world. Everything. So many things are going on. You open Instagram, you see 20,000 million ways to make money. You see 20,000 million things that you should be doing with your life. You see 20,000 million ways that you're doing something, that you could be doing something wrong. You open LinkedIn and it seems like everyone has got their together. Maybe you're on the wrong path because this person is on this path and their life seems to make sense. So how do you drown out all that noise and focus on yourself? Because one key thing you need to note when it comes to making your plan, writing and finding your goal is to focus on yourself. Okay. The fact that 100 people out there are doing what they're doing and it's working for them does not mean it's going to work for you. And how do you even know if it's going to work for you? You have to really sit down, think about it, do your research, plan, and write it out, right? And when I say plan, or when I say not plan, when I say write out your goal, you have to be very realistic with your goal. So you have to look at where you are in life, right? And what you have. And your plan should also be like super specific. Don't just say, oh, I want to have money, I want to be rich. That's a good plan, but like, how do you want to be rich? Do you want to rob a bank? Okay. What so many people are doing so many things, illegal, some legal, feasible, some not feasible to you right now. So you have to be realistic and specific. So it is very important that you have clear goals when it comes to writing out your goal. Okay. So it's possible for your goal to be, let's say your goal is actually just to generate income. So how do you make that goal more specific and realistic? So let's say you're earning 80,000 in a month and your goal for the next year is to start earning $1 million. You're not being very realistic. That's just the truth. You're not being, it's not impossible, but it's also not realistic, right? So you have to be very realistic. So you can say, I want to triple my income before the end of the year. That is a realistic goal. You want to triple your income. Then, based on the current skills you have, based on where you are in life, you then write out a plan of how you can make that possible. So based on the skill you have, what business can you start? What product or service can you sell? These are things you have to start looking at. How many people do you have to sell to earn that amount of money? Okay. How many people do you have to sell to in a year? How many people do you have to sell to in a month? Right? How do you reach your target audience? How do you reach those amounts of people, that amount of people? How do you reach that amount of people in a month, in a week? Do you do it with social media? Do you physically go out? Do you need to, host parties or something? Right? And then from there, your goal is becoming clearer and your path to achieving that goal is becoming clearer, right? So if you say, oh, my goal is to be popular, or my goal is to be, some people, that's their goal, to be popular. Maybe after they now gain their popularity, they can start monetizing it, right? So I'm not going to say, if someone says, oh, my goal is to be like a popular person, like a celebrity or an influencer, I'm like, okay, cool. For whatever reason, that is cool. It's for you to now map out the path towards achieving that goal. Okay, open a social media account, open TikTok, pick your focus area. What do you want to be doing? What do you want to be talking about? What skills do you have? Right? And then you work out the best way to start. Do you need to build an online community? Do you need to connect and network with people? Which is something personally I'm even struggling with, especially because I'm not I don't really know so much about social media marketing or just like how to use social media generally. Like, obviously I know how to doom scroll in the app, but yes, I need to actually take classes, just general classes on the basics of social media. So yeah, that's just a thought. Some people, once they become popular, their image becomes their brand and they're able to make money from it. That's why you see a lot of celebrities or influencers, they have businesses. And the reason why people are buying it is because of their personal image. They like them as a person or they trust the brand. And that is, that's very valid. So when sometimes people say, oh, they want to become popular, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Because a lot of brands that trust you would want to work with you. You can make money from that. You can sell your own product or service and people who trust you would definitely support your business. So that's really, but it's also very important to try to make your goal as specific as possible. I'm just thinking generally, because if you don't have a clear goal, it's hard for you to be able to define success for yourself. I don't know if that makes sense. Let's say you just start doing something or you find yourself in a situation where you're doing something for money. How do you determine your success if you don't have clear goals? I don't know if that makes sense because this is something I constantly think about. I was having this conversation with my friend years ago and we're talking about what it means to be successful. And personally, I was saying being rich does not mean you're successful, because we've seen so many people that have money, but the goal they set for themselves, maybe generational wealth or something, they have that, right? But they've been struggling to get into they want to be a successful actor, or they want to be a successful singer, or they want to be a successful business person. They've been struggling to launch a particular product and it keeps failing. But the person is rich, right? Like the person is very rich. The person is living a comfortable life. The person I wouldn't say the person lacks any material thing, but that person has not been able to achieve their goal. So when I see a person like that, there's some stories I read about popular legends, and I just read the story and I'm feeling so sad, because I'm like, oh my God, this person must have lived a very lonely life. I don't know. I just think it's very lonely for you to really want something and not to be able to get it. Yeah, it makes me, some people, their goal in life is to have a happy family. Having a happy family has nothing to do with money, right? I remember the story that my dad used to tell me about a fisherman who was living a relatively comfortable life. He had a boat. He would go out to sea. He was an expert in fishing. He would go out to sea, fish, come back home. Him and his family, they'll cook and eat the fish, sell the rest off, and use the money that they make to, like I said, they were living a comfortable life. So then a foreigner came to visit and advised the fisherman that, do you know you could be so rich with the skills that you have? And the man was like, tell me more. What do you mean? And the foreigner explained to him that he could he could train 2 more people and use the savings or the earnings from the fish he sold to buy a new boat, and then train 1 or 2 more people. They run the boat for him, the new boat. He runs the other boats, and then he saves more money, buys more boats. He keeps expanding and expanding. And then he starts selling his fish internationally. He starts delivering fish everywhere. And then he can build bigger houses. He can own more houses. Him and his family, they would be so rich. And then he would retire very early. And all he has to do is just sit down, money is coming in, and then he spends time with his family. And the fisherman told him, isn't that exactly okay, all this hard work, and then the end goal for me is to, be able to live a comfortable life, to spend more time with my family. But that is exactly what I'm already doing. And, that is my goal in life, to be able to spend more time with my family. And the foreigner was like, oh, I see. So the fisherman is content because his goal is to live a comfortable life and spend more time with his family. And his current living circumstance has allowed him to do that. But the foreigner saw it as, wasted potential, because he could be doing more with his expertise, right? And knowledge and skill. But that was not his goal. His goal was not to own the biggest fishing line or industry in the country or in the state or worldwide. His goal was just to live a comfortable life and be able to spend more time with his family. So yes, I know a lot of times our goals in life are tied towards financial freedom, because, nobody wants to wake up one day and not be able to afford a trip, or worst still, a health emergency or a family emergency or a personal emergency. So yeah, that kind of life truly sucks, which is why a lot of times success and our goals in general are usually tied to a person's net worth. But I say, money aside, I know it's hard to separate the two. Having a goal and achieving that goal. I know so many people, their goal is to be they are so good at singing. They are so good at singing, but they don't make money from singing, but they are respected in the industry, right? But they're not rich. They're not rich. They're not making so much money from the music they produce, but they are talented. Some even considered legends. So I know that one can be a bit controversial. Would you say that person is a successful artist? Would you say the person is successful? I don't know. I really don't know, but I think yes, especially if that is his goal. If the person now comes out, I remember Bill Withers, the story about Bill Withers. He was still, even while he was releasing I don't remember which song it was that he released. The song was a hit, and everyone was like, this could be it for you. This might be the big break. You could quit your job at the factory. But he's like, no, he's not certain that this could sustain his life, right? And he continued his work at the factory because he wasn't sure that music would be able to sustain his life. I feel even at that stage, he was already a successful artist with the hit songs that he kept producing back to back. So, but it wasn't until he was comfortable enough to know that, oh, this is a sustainable way to live. That was when he was now able to finally, like, I didn't do research that far down, to be very honest. But yeah, I just read the part where he said he wasn't comfortable enough quitting his factory work. But then again, I don't know, like I said, it's controversial, it's arguable whether success should always be tied to monetary value, net worth, or to whether or not you've been able to achieve your actual goals, right? So when it comes to soft start, another aspect that I like to talk about is the power of good influence and connections. Never underestimate the power of good influence and connections. As much as possible, I'm going to start by saying avoid dramatic people. By dramatic people, I mean people that attract drama. I know sometimes it's hard for you to, especially if these people are your family members or they are your childhood friends. I know. But when it comes, I feel like it is important. No, I feel like it is important for you to set clear boundaries, to be honest, because if your mental health is stressed, if your mind is stressed, if you keep finding yourself in these emotionally and physically and mentally draining situations, it would really be hard for you to be able to focus on your goals, really, truly. Sometimes when I hear all these people that are talking about the power of manifestation, all you have to do is just sit down, for a certain amount of time and think about the life you want to live. I'm like, some people, when you look at their day-to-day life, they don't have 30 minutes of quiet. They don't have 30 minutes of quiet, of peace to be able to sit down and manifest their dream life because their life is chaotic. Their phone is constantly ringing. Their house is constantly chaotic. I don't know. Their life is just chaotic. Avoid drama as much as possible. To be very honest, avoid dramatic people and try to surround yourself. This is very important. You have to actively surround yourself with people that have good energy, right? You don't need negative energy. You don't need negative emotions. You don't need negative people around you. You have to actively, and sometimes, like I said, it might be these might be people that you might not be able to physically distance yourself from. You need to communicate clear boundaries and let it be known. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you how to do it because different things work for different people. I might be able to get out of situations like that based on my personality and my way of just presenting, my way of just speaking. So just find out what works for you. But the key thing is you need to set boundaries. Okay, you need to set boundaries and get away from negative people, negative energy, right? If not, they're going to constantly drain your positive energy and your light, to be honest. And you're just going to realize that you're not getting as far in life as you should. All right. And when we say connections, you need to actively connect with people, build connections with people that are doing or are currently living the life you want to live, are currently achieving the goals that you've set for yourself so that you can learn from them. Okay. I don't know if that makes sense. You can learn from them. You also have to be really humble when it comes to learning from people because it's a very humbling experience. All right. To be a student in general is a very humbling experience that you have to sometimes humble yourself to learn from people, grow your connection, right? That is also super, super important. You have to raise your standards. It's very important to actively raise your standards. When I say make connections, yes, it's one thing to make connections with people that are on the same level as you are, if there's any vital information, any upcoming relevant event, any trend you need to get on, these people will also help you. But you also have to raise your standards. You can't keep hanging out with people that are below your level or on the same level with you only. So I'm not saying you shouldn't hang out with those kind of people. If not, the people that are above your level, they're also not going to want to hang out with you because, they don't want to, they want to also keep climbing and climbing. So you need to hang out with everyone, but you also need to raise your standards. Hang out with people that you can learn from, okay? People that can mentor you. Hang out with people in your level as well, so that you're able to keep up. But remember, life is not a race, but you need to hang out with people in your level, so you're also able to keep up, and you need to learn from people that are also below you, because there might be some things you've missed, and they can also learn from you as well. It's also nice teaching people is a great way of learning, right? So yes, but it's also very important that you raise your standards. That's the point. So it sounds like I've said, be open, that really is the point. You have to be open-minded to good and positive influence, and then actively cut off and set boundaries with negative influence and energies. Very, very, very important, right? All right, so I think I'm going to wrap it up here today. I read a book that included a quote which says, "Each day acquire something that will fortify you against poverty, against death, indeed against other misfortunes as well." So each day you have to strive to do one thing that will move you closer to your goal. I think that's the whole concept of atomic habits. Even if you can do something as little as an atom, that's why it's called atomic habits, because an atom is like the tiniest, I think, molecule. So yes, you need to do, even if you feel like, okay, there's no point, there is a point. 1% better every day. You need to do something, right? Like, I remember this podcast has been on my bucket. I wrote it on my, it was on my mood board, vision board for the year. And what month are we in? We're currently in November. I launched this podcast officially in October, right? Even if I was like, oof, I don't see myself doing this year, I didn't stop. I would wake up. Obviously, this was not the only thing on my vision board, but yeah, I would try my best. Every time I have time, I would do something, right? Create a cover art, create social media pages, create channels where I'm going to publish whatever episode I create, right? Just do something, even if it might seem small. Record an episode, record your trailer episode, record the intro, look for the theme music, choose a theme music, right? Just do something. If your goal is physical health, take 5 steps today. You might be like, 5 steps, how pointless. Stretch your body, even if you're stretching your body for just 5 minutes. Stretch your body for those 5 minutes. Tomorrow, another 5 minutes. Next tomorrow, another 5 minutes. And before you know it, stretching your body for 5 minutes every day, however flimsy it might seem to you, would have an immense impact on your health, right? And it would be so natural and automatic because it's just 5 minutes a day. All right. And then you can even decide to push it further after doing it for 5 minutes has become like natural and whatnot. So yes, so it's super important that each day you acquire something that would fortify you against poverty, death, and other misfortunes. I'm sure, I don't know if you've heard, but there's this saying that goes, if you're not learning every day, like you're not living. So each day is not enough to say, yeah, I'm rich, I'm set, I don't need to work hard, I don't need to hustle. You have to grow every day as a human being. And I think that was the basis, like the moral lesson of the story of the rich fool in the Bible. If you're a Christian, you might have heard the story of the rich fool in the Bible. He was rich and he, filled up his his storehouses, with food. And he was like, yep, I'm all set for life. I'm never going to have to work again. I'm just going to sit here, chill, eat, just rest and just be chill. And God was like, you fool, this day would be your last. Because that's not how to live life. That is not how to live life. Each day you have to improve yourself. Each day you have to keep growing. That is kind of like the concept of being a human being, to be very honest. You have to improve. You have to do something every day that would make you better than you were yesterday. And you don't have to think, oh, what mighty thing can I do? Something little, a very tiny step would make a difference in your life in another 10 years. when they accumulate together. All right. So, yes, try your best not to procrastinate. I'm not one to talk pot calling kettle black, but procrastination is not in Handbook for Champions. Really, it is super important that you're very disciplined when it comes to your goals, right? I think, what's the name of the author of Goals, Brian Tracy? He describes it as being, was it Brian Tracy? No. The guy who wrote the 5 a.m. Club. Is it Monk? His name, I don't remember his name anymore. Yes, Robin Sharma. Robin Sharma. Yes, he describes it as being a monomaniac. Be actively focused on your goal. It takes immense discipline. But that's not the direction we're talking about in this podcast. We're talking about a soft start. So 1% better every day. But you have to be making conscious steps that would lead you towards achieving your ultimate goal or your ultimate goals, right? Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up with a quote that I love by Scott Fitzgerald. For what it is worth, it's never too late, or in my case, too early to be whoever you want to be. There's no time limit. Stop whenever you want. You can change or stay the same. There are no rules to this thing. We can make the best or the worst of it. I hope you make the best of it. And I hope you see things that startle you. I hope you feel things you've never felt before. I hope you meet people with a different point of view. I hope you live a life you're proud of. If you find that you're not, I hope you have the strength to start over again. And yes, to be honest, let me say this story. All my friends, literally every single person in my circle, we quit a job at one point this year. We quit our jobs at one point this year, right? And it's so funny. We either quit our jobs or we turn down like a major opportunity. So, and what now? We're in November. We're ending the year super happy, like way happier than we were when the year started, when we felt trapped by the life we thought we were supposed to live. Like, oh no, there's no time. We're in our mid-20s, by the way. All of us were in our mid-20s. Like, oh no, I have to live my life a certain way. There's this point that, meanwhile, it wasn't aligning with the person we wanted to be. It wasn't aligning with our ultimate goal for ourselves. So yes, at one point or the other, I think we all came to this realization that, yep, it's time to put an end to this chapter so that we can enter into a new one that is in line with who we are and who we want to be. And I'm super proud of all my girls. I'm super, super proud of us. And I'm looking forward to what we're going to do in the future. I'm looking forward to what you're going to do in the future. I hope you embrace your journey. I hope you do something out of your comfort zone, right? And I'm looking forward to see what you do. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you at the top.